It has been 3 sicknesses and a holiday, and we are now ready to do another movie.
Yeah, that's a very efficient way of saying what I was just going to say anyway, but
Yeah.
sorry for the delay. Shit happened.
Yep. I don't know if I have a whole lot of stuff to say about this one beforehand. I have seen this movie once or twice incidentally. It was never a thing that I specifically tried to watch, but
Mhm.
I enjoyed it. It's a fun movie. It's different from Disney's usual shtick.
Yeah, this is also, I think, the first non-Pixar thing we're doing, which
Yep.
we'd like to branch out more. We're still going to plan to do all the Pixar stuff in order, but we'll just sprinkle in some other stuff in between, and you'll get to vote on that if we do more polls, because this was on a poll, and it was the second most popular option after just continuing with Pixar. That was a few videos ago.
Right.
We're going to be doing this, maybe something else as well. I think Iron Giant was on the poll, so we might do that as well, but yeah, we'll mix it up and all that type of thing. As for the actual movie itself, I've not seen it. It came out, I think, in 2002, so I would have been 3 years old. So even if I had seen it at the time, would have not really remembered it probably. So I know that it takes place in Hawaii, and that there's like an alien that shows up, and I think it's sort of like an ET like story, where it's like the government trying to get the alien back. Probably. I know as a kid,
Uh,
I because I
I
no.
really don't think it is.
Oh,
No.
that's just kind of my guess. I know that there is the government involved, and so I just kind of assumed. um, I know that let's see. I remember when I was a kid, I thought it was Lilo and Stitch for some reason because I had never heard it
For some reason,
pronounced.
I also did. Yeah, it was this was at a point. I guess I should go into this. As a kid, I grew up with a bunch of Disney VHS tapes. Mostly just the older shit. Um, some of the more contemporary ones like Little Mermaid, Aladdin. Um, and I feel like I reached the I'm too cool for this phase really early because when Lion King came out, which was like 94, I didn't want to see it. And so I went through a long period of not wanting to watch anything from Disney. Pixar was fine. DreamWorks fine. Like for some reason I just, I didn't want to watch anything from Disney. Um
Mhm.
this one was no exception. And then at some point later on I went back and I watched not all but a good chunk of the other 90s Disney movies. Most of them are pretty good. Um
Mhm.
and yeah, this one and Emperor's New Groove are just where they, decided to get really weird with it. Especially the other one, but
Yeah, I actually have seen Emperor's New Groove, and I do like that movie. I only saw it once about 10 years ago, I think, um, something like that. But yeah, and you mentioning like being too cool for Lion King does remind me of a story I've told before, so I don't know if I should get into it, but basically just me having a misconception of what the Lion King was as a kid. I thought it was like some girly love story movie, and it just isn't.
yeah.
Which apparently the second one is, and I think I later talked to my family and found out that we had Lion King 2 on VHS, but not the first one, and so maybe that's where my perception came from, was seeing snippets of that or something. This is way too young for me to really have concrete memories, but
Yeah.
anyway, I really don't have anything else to say about Lilo and Stitch. I've heard very good things about it. Basically, nothing negative. I've only just heard people be like, "Yep, it's a great movie." End of
Yeah,
sentence.
it's
I'm looking
got
forward
good
to it.
characters, interesting family dynamic that you don't usually
Hmm.
see. Stitch
Interesting
is
cultural kind of inspiration with like Hawaii. I don't know.
yeah.
I mean, it must be different in America at least a little, but I feel like you hardly ever hear about like Hawaiian related stuff over here. Like,
Hawaii is just weird because it's a blend of I don't know if Polynesian is the right word for it,
it's
but it's like
Polynesian, yeah.
yeah, it's a blend of that plus the just the tourist spot
Hmm.
culture.
And I
It's
know that's explored a little bit, right? Of like the people who actually live there versus the tourists, kind of like
I don't
the
remember if this
conflict
movie
of
really
interest
gets
there.
into that. It
I feel
probably
like it's at
does at
least.
some
I
point,
feel
but
like I've heard it's at least sort of a background detail. I know that like I think if I remember right, the Lilo is the main character girl, right? Like the little girl.
yeah,
I think her older sister, I remember, is like always really tired from working really hard at some like some kind of tourist trap type place or something. I've seen like a few posts about this like a long time ago, but just people talking about the movie and stuff they like from it. But yeah, I also know that there's the whole Ohana means family thing, which and
Right.
family means no one gets left behind, which spawned the stupid Obama means Gmail image. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just look it up.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, um,
But yeah, this is just. I don't know if I have a whole lot else to say. Really, we could probably just get started. I will randomly bring up just because it's on my mind. Both this and the previous movie we did, Monsters Inc., include scenes that had to be changed because of 9/11. In Monsters Inc., it was the part when they run away from the sushi restaurant. In the final movie, they do like this weird green like vaporization field, and in the original cut, the place just explodes. It like looks like it takes out a pretty good chunk of the city.
I see.
Um,
Sorry, that sounded like I was laughing at 9/11. I was just laughing at the weird coincidence of both these movies.
yeah.
It seems like a lot of things somehow involved this, some more directly. Like I know there was a lot of there's at least a couple of examples of like movies and games that came out where they actually like forgot to include the Twin Towers, and then it was like accidentally prophetic. Like I
Uh-huh.
think Deus Ex did that, um, which that came out in like 2000. I don't know, a lot of weird stuff. Which obviously, if you're conspiracy minded, is just more fuel for the fire. But it's it's just a coincidence.
I'm also when we end up watching it here, I'm curious if we're gonna get the pizza box under a table cut or the dryer cut.
Oh, it will obviously have a massive impact on the viewing experience
Yes.
and what we take from the story. It'll completely flip the themes on its head. So we'll be sure to let you know. Just so you
I'm
can.
also I I'm curious if it's going to have like this is something that I don't think is debatable, but there was a scene that I remember seeing in a commercial that then ended up being different in the actual movie where Stitch like throws a car and yells either blue punch buggy or you forgot to mention Fluffy. For some reason there's just two cuts of that scene.
Man, what?
I don't know.
I know about what punch buggy is, but that's really weird.
But yeah, no reason to draw it out any further, I guess, unless you have anything else to say.
No, can't think of anything. Actually, there is one thing. In this preview image for the movie here, as I have it loaded up, Stitch is on the screen with 4 arms. I don't remember him having 4 arms. Now, I've never seen the movie, but anytime I've seen images of Stitch, I could have sworn he was, 2 arms, 2 legs.
You're not misremembering. He can hide 2 of his arms.
I see. Okay.
That also
I was
confused
thinking
me.
I was thinking that was like a Mandela effect thing or something, but nah. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah. Yeah, so we just got done watching fun movie. Okay, I need to stop that.
I still have nothing to say about this movie. I'm sorry. I will.
Oh, really?
I will find a way to prove myself wrong. I'm sure, but nothing's immediately jumping out.
I really, really liked it. That was great. I thought I do have I don't even want to say problems with it because it didn't really impact my enjoyment of the movie, but I guess it was just like things that I thought were weird. This movie feels really messy. Like I like the pacing's a little weird. Stuff just kind of happens. It's hard to explain unless you've perhaps seen the movie recently, but I feel like a lot of other movies just have, a tighter script where it's like, stuff flows naturally from one scene to another. And in this one, it's kind of just like, here's this world, here's these characters, and stuff just kind of happens until eventually it, rolls it. Like, how do I explain this?
I guess I get what you
really
mean.
it doesn't really build to the conclusion all that much. You kind of just have these multiple like alarm clocks, to use your analogy from something completely unrelated. It's just like you have various like plot threads that are like slowly being like, hey, this is gonna be a thing. Like, there's kind of two really. It's Agent Bubbles is gonna take Lilo away because like her home life is not very conducive to like her good development as a child or whatever. And then secondly, there's the aliens trying to get Stitch back plot, and these two things kind of just like weave in and out of the story. But most
Yeah,
of the
it's
middle half of the movie is just kind of like
I guess I get what
the
yeah.
same thing.
It's
like it's just
these things progress and yeah.
it's just scene after scene of like, what's her name? Nani is trying to get a job and trying to improve the situation for the family. Stitch is causing mayhem. Lilo is either joining in on the mayhem or is sometimes the victim of the mayhem and is like,
right.
oh no. And then, the aliens will try to catch Stitch and fail and then be warned like, you're disappointing me. This will not be tolerated. And then Bubbles is like, this can't keep going on. You got to pick things up, or else I'm going to take Lilo away. And then it just happens. I swear this happens like 3 times, and that's just the entire middle of the movie. And then the end is just these things converge. Gantu shows up. Bubbles is like, all right, that's it, taking Lilo. And then there's an action scene where it's just kind of, again, stuff happening, and eventually it kind of all comes to a head, and Stitch gets captured like 3 different times and escapes all 3 times, and then finally gets captured again, and then is like, but I want to stay here. And then they pull out the fucking like, the receipt from buying Stitch at the dog place, and then Bubbles is like, oh yeah, that'll work. Aliens are all about rules. I know about that because I knew about aliens all along because I'm former CIA, and I also was the one who convinced them about the mosquito thing that was said at the beginning of the movie. It just kind of comes out of like, I did get the feeling that he was like a bigger.
I couldn't remember if he was or not.
Than just a social worker, but.
And also, I swore he was James Earl Jones the whole movie, but. Yeah, it's.
But I still liked it. That's the thing, is it still worked anyway. It didn't really need to. Would the movie have been better if the script was tighter? Maybe, but it was still very much enjoyable. I liked.
We need to. We'll need to discuss the ending at some point, but let's wait on that one.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute.
Your description there just made me think of the large number of Nani is at a place and Stitch is causing problems, and like, oh, things are gonna go well for her, but oh, he caused too many problems. So
yeah,
there were a lot of those scenes.
It's almost a little repetitive, I guess, but it works fine. What else I want to say is immediately at the beginning of the movie, I am just straight away became endeared to Lilo. Like, she's amazing. I love that character.
You fucking died when she was punching the other girl, like,
because it was such a massive escalation. Like, I could tell immediately, like, she's late for school. Okay, she's she's quirky. She's off doing her own thing, and she doesn't fit in with the other kids and all that kind of stuff. So that that's pretty common. And then it just escalated so fast to the other kids are mean to her. She goes over and just fucking punches them
and bites, like, apparently, yeah,
and bites them. I'm just like, hell yeah, this kid is a riot.
Lilo's pretty great.
It was really endearing to me. And I really felt for her as well, because like, they kind of it's weird because she kind of mellows out over the course of the rest of the movie as Stitch kind of takes that role as being like the problem. It's interesting because at the beginning of the movie they were already kind of having issues with each other, Lilo and Nani. And then Stitch enters the picture, and the movie kind of treats it like Stitch is the entire problem, I guess, because Lilo basically stops.
Yeah, so let's actually
enabling Stitch a little bit.
Let's take a second here because obviously we don't see exactly what's happening before the movie starts, but there's some reason that she's having to be investigated by the social worker. I assume
it's just because they know that her parents died, and it's like, okay, we need to go assess if this is
I guess
a good living situation for her.
But it's like, we have the scene where Lilo goes home alone and is there for we don't know how long, and the house is just this fucking mess. Like, So, like, aside from her just boarding up the front door, like, it's unclear if she's the one who caused the disaster in the kitchen or if that was actually already there.
Yeah, I was not clear on that.
Because it's like, I feel like in most parts of the movie, it's kind of shown that, like, there isn't really any problem with Nani. Like, she does lose her temper, but I don't think she's actually really creating a bad living situation. It's just that
she's been thrust into a very unfortunate situation. I'm very sympathetic to her, and I think this was a delicate balance to make. This is something I wanted to mention with Lilo is like, again, it's tricky because later on she kind of implies herself that her acting out is just because of losing her parents and not being able to deal with it emotionally. I guess I had interpreted it initially that she was probably like autistic or something, and because she has the whole thing with like, I mean, this is how it is in cartoons. They need to exaggerate it a little bit, but I thought that was kind of the point they were getting at. Was she was like, oh, I bring peanut butter sandwiches to the fish, and she has like a collection of like photos of
weather, and
she just the weather, and she like
takes pictures of
random tourists,
fat tourists, specifically,
and
like,
yeah, like it very much seemed like she had like a bunch of like special interests and little quirks and stuff like that. She was supposed to be some kind of they would say neurodivergent or whatever, but they kind of like lean away from that later on in the film to where it seems like she's just emotional. I don't know. I wonder if.
Well, I mean, there's also parts where like, there's the scene in the where they're getting the dog or whatever, where the lady's like, Stitch isn't a real name, and then Nani's like, shut up, like, just go along with it. Which
she's definitely supposed to be like very.
I like that dynamic where. Yeah, she just kind of rolls with it.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, Nani does her best, but she didn't want to have to raise, this kid by herself, like her sister. I tend to be, I mean, I'm not going to get into it, but I tend to be, I'm very opinionated about parenting, and I'm very critical of, parents who don't, adapt to the needs of their kids well. And, part of that is from personal experience, and just part of that is from, seeing how the state of things in the world. But it kind of works here because we don't see her parents. We don't know what they were like. Maybe whatever Lilo was like before her parents passed away, we don't get to see that. But what we see is, here's how she is now. Here's her troubles. And you're sympathetic to Nani as well because, this is not at all her fault. Like, this is, she's just as much struggling as her sister is. So it really works. It's just, I don't know. I immediately, I saw these two and I'm just like, I just want the best for them. And
yeah, it really sucks because it's like, that's why I was saying, like, I wonder if all the bullshit that was going on in the kitchen or whatever was like the norm, or if Lilo just caused this whole weird situation after getting home. Because outside of like, losing her temper occasionally, there isn't really much of a sense of Nani being a problem in other other ways. So I don't know.
No, I mean everyone has a limit, so I don't hold that against them.
I have to kind of question the idea of like, we've been visited by the social worker, things look really bad, we need to fix things up, let's immediately go get a dog.
This is where the pacing felt weird to me, because we kind of cut to like, Stitch in the earth and doing stuff, and then we cut back and they're just at the dogs, and there's been no establishment that this was something they were going to do. We don't actually really know why they were doing this, other than maybe Lilo was just like, I want a dog, and Nani was like, I guess I'd rather go get a dog than tell her no. But
maybe, but yeah, it's like we don't see that, and to me the implication was like, okay, we need to like make this really quick turnaround. What's going to make her stop being so hyperactive and causing these problems? Maybe if I distract her with a pet, like, which then, massively backfires. And it's like, we have all of these scenes of just, Stitch fucking ruining everything. And after a while, it's like I don't know what they could have done differently, but it's like, even when she's working at the restaurant or whatever, and they cause a scene and she gets fired. It's like, I guess you kind of have to bring her there, like,
Right, yeah.
but then
She
again,
can't be left
get a
unattended.
babysitter. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess the implication is that she doesn't have the money for it because she's,
Yeah.
essentially acting as a single mother in this case, and and for the record, before the movie, I talked about like, oh, I had the impression that there is an element of like the tourist based economy being a factor. There's like one line that mentions like, sorry, we would hire you, but we can't right now because tourist season is ending. It's like, okay, so there is it's relevant to the background, but it's not really focused on.
Right. And when you said earlier that she had a job relating to some tourist place, I couldn't actually remember if that was true or not. I guess it was kind of, but it wasn't like a huge focus.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, obviously, the two sisters dynamic is, as far as I'm concerned, the best part of the movie. The alien antics doesn't really do a whole lot for me.
I would agree. Yeah, I think I feel the same way. Honestly, even just Stitch himself didn't do that much for me. I was surprised that his introduction is like at first they're like, oh, I basically genetically engineered like a biological weapon here is what this is. Right. I'm like, okay, but he's gonna be actually like good, right? And then you see him, and initially his whole thing with Lilo is it's just a scheme to protect himself. Like, he really does not actually care about Lilo at first, which is kind of surprising to me. I figured it was going to be a much more like like immediate, like, oh, it's so sweet that bond, but really it was not there at first. It kind of
he shows up and immediately he's like, I started blasting.
Yeah. It's weird later when he starts talking and being like, he's like, okay, well, here's the sit. It's not really quite an accurate voice, but he's much more. I don't know. He's not only like
that is another weird aspect. Just like, when he starts talking, like, it's, I don't know. It felt a little off, but
yeah, I agree.
I will mention that this movie did spawn a TV series that I think is pretty well liked. I've not seen any of it.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure the TV series is essentially just alien antics.
That's what I would figure.
Yeah, because the whole thing is just
should we talk about the ending? Because this kind of, I feel, ties into it, right?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm pretty sure, like, not having seen it, I think the show, and I think there was also a movie based on the show that isn't like really Lilo and Stitch 2, but it's just kind of like,
well, because there is a Lilo and Stitch 2, right?
Is there?
Stitch has a glitch.
Oh, maybe. Okay, maybe. Yeah.
I was poking around on the wiki to try to find info about the voice actors and stuff, and because some of them seem familiar, and I read that there's a Lilo and Stitch 2, Stitch has a glitch, and there's also Leroy and Stitch.
I've heard that name. I don't remember what that is, but yeah. I'm pretty sure the show is basically a Monster of the Week thing, where it's like, oh, the guy actually made a whole bunch of other creations, and they have to go catch them all.
I see.
So, I don't want to reduce it to just that, because, like I said, people apparently do like it, but I haven't seen it, so I can't say anything about it.
Yeah,
but yeah, what the fuck was the ending, where it's just, so it's like, we have the wrap-up, which... It's like, okay, these people have seen the aliens now, and Bubbles is apparently involved somehow, and then there's the stupid thing with the, like, receipt from the dog kennel, which is a little bit stupid, but whatever. But then it's just like, okay, so they're gonna leave, but we're leaving behind the two chuckle fucks, and and the ending sequence just kind of shows them and Bubbles just being, they're just like, why did it just kind of turn into this in the last 30 seconds?
It was very, I would not have expected that. It's like, I don't hate it, it's just weird. I'm like, why? And David is also shown as kind of like, finally presumably gets with Nani because he's in a lot of the photos. And that, that makes enough sense. His
Yeah.
character basically was, he had the hots for her, and to his credit, he's it seems like a good guy. Like,
Yeah, I've actually seen quite a lot of like just positivity regarding David in this movie because like he is a pretty good example of, just kind of not an asshole. I don't know how you'd put it any better than that, but it's like, he
Well, okay,
he gives her space and isn't overly
that's,
pushy.
yeah.
And
It's
like,
because his character is, he likes Nani, and it would have been very easy to write him as just kind of being like potentially even another source of conflict in the movie. But if anything, he's almost like there is one scene where he's like, would you want to go on a date? And she's like, not a good time. But outside of that, he's helpful. He's just a good friend to Nani, and
yeah.
yeah. I don't know. It was. I don't know. I can't. I haven't seen like a huge number of feel like I can't think of any other examples to like compare and contrast. But maybe people found it refreshing that he wasn't like, I guess, a pushy asshole type character, and he was more just he wants to try to make things work with Nani, but he obviously respects her enough to know like, okay, well, she's got her own stuff going on, and I'll just be here and be a good friend. So I don't know. He's cool.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Good, really, really good movie. I would highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it. Like I said, kind of weird pacing, but it was just nice to spend time
Yeah,
with
I
these
don't think the
characters.
pacing issues really hurt it. It's
Yeah.
I at this point, this is the part where I just kind of grasp at straws for things to talk about for no reason, just to make the video longer. So I'll just mention a thing that I misremembered was we have the montage of her going around trying to find a job and it doesn't work out, and then they kind of go surfing for a while, and there's the scene right after that where Bubbles sees them and is just like, this is not good, like, I'm coming tomorrow morning. For some reason I distinctly remember like the motivation of that was like, you were surfing instead of looking for a job, you're obviously not like putting in the work. I thought it was like very clear that that was the case, and I was about to be really pissed off at it because I'm like, no, she's been trying the whole day, like, come on, like. But then that wasn't the reason. I don't think they didn't specific.
No, it was because like dangerous, like,
yeah,
Lilo kind of almost drowned and all that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I don't know why I misremembered that. The other thing is just because I brought it up before we started the movie. Do you know what the 9/11 censorship was?
Oh, probably something to do with the aliens blasting shit, if I had to guess.
So apparently in the original cut of the movie, like I've seen a video that showcases the scenes side by side, they don't, like, I don't remember any of the characters' names. The big guy, has Lilo in his ship and flies off, and then the other ones follow them. But in the original cut, they follow him in just a passenger plane and not a spaceship. And there's a scene, like, there's a part in the final movie where they kind of like, there's like this big canyon that they fly into, and the plane like goes sideways, and there's the part where like the wing hits the guy's ice cream. That actually takes place in a city instead of a canyon, and they fly sideways and like drive on the sides of the buildings to do this U-turn. It's really weird. So they had that all animated, and then it's like, oh fuck, okay, I guess we're changing all this
because it was a plane in a city.
Well, yeah, I mean, it flew into the buildings. Like, it was.
I thought you said they went along the side of the building.
They did. They didn't crash into them, but still, like, it.
I see. Yeah. Speaking of that guy with the ice cream, just to mention this because I made note of this while watching the movie. I really like how understated his reaction is. Like, it's a running gag that this guy's ice cream keeps getting knocked over. This like sunburned tourist guy, and I just found it really funny that he doesn't react. Like in all, it keeps happening, and he just kind of looks down at the ice cream. He doesn't even say anything. He doesn't look particularly upset, but
yeah, he looks a little bit sad, but yeah, he doesn't.
He doesn't have like a big reaction. He's like, "Nah," or anything. He just
yeah. I think they made the right call there. That made it
way funnier. Yeah, definitely.
I guess I'll also explain this part for. I already told you in the movie, but I made the comment earlier about like dryer versus pizza box. We got the dryer cut. But yeah, there's a scene where like Lilo climbs into the dryer to hide, and then like Nani, tricks her into coming out. Apparently, at some point, they had to reanimate that scene because of like kids climbing into dryers in real life, and they didn't want to like make more kids do that. And so they did this really weird reanimation of it where there's just a table with like a sheet covering the sides, and she like crawls under it and then holds a pizza box in front of it like a door. It's really weird.
Good shit. And you also mentioned something about the blue punch buggy versus you forgot the fluffy.
Yeah, he does say both lines in the movie.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Both are in there.
I swear there was a commercial that had the, like, cute and fluffy line over him throwing the car for some reason. I don't know. But
I see.
It doesn't fucking matter. Did you see... Oh, God. Dying. Do you know about any of the trailers for the movie?
No, I don't think so.
They had a thing where it would be like a scene from one of Disney's other movies, like the classic princess ones or whatever, and then Stitch would just kind of show up, and it'd be like, "Oh, what's going on here?" Like, yeah.
Okay, I think I do remember that. I think you told me about that at some point.
Odd, I don't remember this, but
well, maybe you mentioned it in a video or something. I don't know. Sounds familiar though.
But yeah, I've never had any stronger connection to the movie, so I don't know a whole lot of other stuff about it. They're fucking doing a live action version for some reason, but
yeah, I remembered that while doing this video, like while we were watching it, and I checked, and it comes out in May, so obviously we should have waited to tie it in for the extra views.
Are they making it a double feature with live action Moana? I mean, I think they just started making that, so that's probably not for a while. But
I was going to say, I don't know when that's coming out.
I keep forgetting Moana 2 exists.
I thought it already came out. I thought it was, like, very shortly after, too. Okay, well, now I've got to... now I've got to look it up.
Yeah, I got to remake a movie that's only, like, 10 years old.
Oh, no, it's from 2026. Okay. It's going to be in 2026. Huh. All right.
Shocking development. I think the Disney live-action remakes are stupid. I would say that I feel like almost everybody does, but people go and see them anyway, so I don't know.
Yeah. In any case, if you have anything else to say on the movie, let it be. Okay. Otherwise, I guess we can do comments.
Okay. If you've got any.
Let's see.
Also, are we doing a poll for the next one, or are we just doing Iron Giant?
I figured we'll do Iron Giant, and then we'll do another poll.
I am on board with this.
Let's actually, we can do the poll, like, shortly after this goes up, and we can just say, like, we'll do Iron Giant next, but vote for what's after that.
I was trying to think of a clever reference to that movie, but I couldn't think of anything other than Kent Mansley, I work for the government, and if you have to eat one of them, eat the scrap. But
I see. Okay. So I have a couple of comments here that we can respond to, I think.
This is why it's so important to really chew your food.
So one of the comments mentions that because I think I said something about how, like, I don't remember there being shorts before, like, animated movies here when I've gone to the cinema, though it's been a while. A different comment says that they live in the UK, and while their memory's a bit hazy for the older ones, they definitely do remember seeing shorts before, at least some of the newer ones, like from Toy Story 3 and onwards. I haven't seen those. They mentioned a Paperman short before Wreck-It Ralph. I saw Wreck-It Ralph, I think, in the cinema, and I don't remember a thing before it, so maybe it just varied by cinema.
Maybe. I definitely remember Paperman. That one was funky.
Yeah. Just I guess it's just
but which was the movie where somebody made a dumpling that came to life and then they ate it?
I don't know.
That one was weird.
And relevant to what we were just saying, somebody said if Lilo and Stitch does end up being next, I'd like to know your thoughts on the teasers for the remake that came out recently, and just thoughts on the whole live action remake series in general. I've not seen any of the live action remakes. My thoughts are that it's very strange that they keep making them because nobody likes them. Except I guess they do make money.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's
just
one of those things.
I have only seen Lion King, and
oh god,
it wasn't because I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But, Martin really likes Lion King, and we saw it with someone else. It was like a friend from work.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, I have shit taste in movies because every time I see a movie, no matter what it is, I'm pretty much like, yeah, that's pretty good. And then I find out later, like, oh, that was bad. Oh, shit.
That's the thing, is I think that just comes with not being big into the medium.
Because, I saw that one and I'm like, it didn't need to exist. It was fucking pointless, but it was fine. And then I saw the, incredibly long review from, is it I Hate Everything, or I forget who it was. It's one of those guys.
I think it's the other guy. Your Movie Sucks, I think.
Yeah. I saw that thing, and I fucking love that review, because it's relentless, and I'm watching this, I'm like, yeah, actually, it kind of does suck.
Yeah. It's always weird when you have that experience, especially with something you like, right?
But the thing is, I didn't even like it. I just thought it was it was fine.
I'm just saying this has also happened to I think both of us with games that we like, where we've seen videos that are here's why the game's bad, and we're like, oh man, I guess it is bad. I can't really argue with this. Right. In my case, I'm usually just like, well, I agree that those things are factors, but they didn't bother me, and I think that's also valid.
So I don't even know how many live action remakes they've done at this point, because I think
I'm trying to think.
I think Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin were the point where we people realized oh, this is going to be a trend. But I think they did a couple before that, right?
I think Maleficent was the first one, right? Unless
that's at least with a different title.
It is, yeah.
I don't know if it's actually Sleeping Beauty or if it's just a different story with that character.
They did do a Cinderella one, right?
I don't know. Maybe this is not a subject I care about.
Okay, I'm going to look at the list. But live action Disney remake.
All I know is I think I've heard that Aladdin was decent. I don't know if any of the other ones
the Jungle Book one.
Oh, actually, shit! I did see that one. God, I forgot that thing existed. How could I? It had fucking Christopher Walken orangutan in it.
Oh wait a minute, hang on. No, it's mixing it up with okay, hang on. It's saying there was a 1994 live-action Jungle Book, then there was a 96 101 Dalmatians, and then a 2000 102 Dalmatians.
Okay,
then they're lumping in the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland into this list. Then apparently there was a live-action Sorcerer's Apprentice, and then
that
Maleficent, Cinderella, Jungle Book.
Wait, isn't the Sorcerer's Apprentice the Mickey Mouse thing from Fantasia?
Yes.
That had a live action remake? What the fuck?
I'm looking at the Wikipedia page right now. The Sorcerer's Apprentice is a 2010 American action adventure fantasy film.
Man, what? So yeah, I forgot.
Cage and Alfred Molina.
I also forgot about the 101 Dalmatians live action movie because I did see that one, but that's a much older one.
You're
it
thinking
doesn't
of
really
Cruella.
count.
Oh, okay, no.
Yeah, no, I did not see Cruella. I saw the older one where for some reason I don't know the main characters' names, but for some reason the main guy is just a video game developer in the remake.
Okay.
And I think Arthur Weasley is in that movie.
2016. What do you mean there was a 2016 Alice in Wonderland? Alice Through the Looking Glass. Is it a sequel to the other? It is. Yeah, it's a sequel to the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland, but it doesn't have Tim Burton. What the hell is that?
But does it have Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter?
Yes.
Oh my god, it actually does.
Then there's Beauty and the Beast. There's a 2018 Christopher Robin film. These films did not exist. What are you talking about?
I think I vaguely remember the Christopher Robin
There was a
thing.
Dumbo, Aladdin, The Lion King. Those were all in the same year, by the way.
There was no fucking Dumbo.
Oh, I remember the Dumbo one because people said it was bad.
I know. I remember Pinocchio being a thing and being bad.
Well, because the Dumbo one, they toned down the pink elephant thing, I think, and people were upset about that. They did a Maleficent sequel that I've never heard of. They did a live-action Lady and the Tramp that I've never heard of.
The fuck? What do you mean? I've never heard of these in my life.
There was the Mulan one, Cruella, Pinocchio. There was allegedly a live-action Peter Pan.
I mean, there was Hook with Robin Williams, but that's a much older one.
No, it's Peter Pan and Wendy is a 2023 American fantasy adventure film.
Sure.
Little Mermaid, and then they took actually a relatively big break. They apparently they did Peter Pan and Wendy in April 2023, Little Mermaid in May 2023, and then they didn't do another one until Mufasa the Lion King in December 2024. And upcoming is listed as Snow White in March.
Have we really not gotten a Snow White yet?
Nope. Lilo and Stitch in May, Moana next year. They've also apparently announced a Hercules, Robin Hood, Aristocats, Bambi, and Tangled.
Oh my god! Slow the fuck down! You don't need to keep pumping these out.
Those don't have announced dates, to be fair, but...
Anyway. That's probably enough on that subject.
Yeah. Oh, man. So yeah, my opinion is just, why do they keep making these? Never mind, it's because of money. I have no interest in seeing them. I don't know why anybody else gives them any... I don't know. There's a lot of shock out there, right? Like, you know, I don't know why people talk about them. Beyond that, no, I haven't seen any like teasers either.
Yeah, can't say I particularly care. Even if it turns out to be good, I doubt I would see it.
Yeah, no. I'm not much of a movie person in general, as we've established. So, yeah, I'm happy to do these animated ones that, you know, either you're familiar with or are widely considered good, because I don't know, just have more of a attachment to animated stuff, I guess.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I've been naming off movies that are not animated that I think that we should go through, and I don't know if they should be in videos, but
yeah, maybe. Depends on if people are interested.
I will mention that this list contains Jumanji, Gremlins, Home Alone.
Yes.
So basically just, you know, schlock from the 80s and 90s.
Yeah. Well, no, that sounds like fun. I know there's a pretty well-known and well-liked movies, so I'd be happy to finally kind of see that little piece of culture that I have as yet been unfamiliar with. I was gonna say earlier, and I kind of didn't finish my thoughts, so I just want to get it out there that, you know, I feel like the fact that I have less experience with movies, and I think you would say this is true for you as well, we're much more video game people. When I play a video game, I tend to be much more opinionated because I've played lots more games that I can compare to. So, you know, I'll see things and be like, oh, this, you know, it kind of reminds me of this other thing, but this other thing did it better. Or when something is especially good, I'll you know, kind of be able to pick it out more. Whereas in movies, I haven't developed the senses and the mind for being like, you know, I see problems here. You know, I'm still, I guess, you know, a person that's experienced stories, so I can point out stuff with that. Like, I think the pacing is a little weird in this, but I feel like somebody who is more well-versed in movies would be able to give perhaps a more detailed and more salient and insightful opinion on this. But yeah, I think that's all it is. That's why I tend to also not have as strong opinions on movies usually. I am kind of, when I watch these, I do kind of have to go out of my way a little bit to kind of like
to nitpick
and to actually forge a more concrete opinion beyond just I liked that or I didn't like that.
Yeah, it's a little hard for me too. I wonder when we're gonna get to a movie that's actually bad.
Yeah. I I mean, I assume most of these are going to be
Ants.
movies that at least one of us has seen and liked, but we also are going to be just doing every Pixar movie, and I know that at least a couple of those are considered bad, so
Yeah.
we shall have to see. But yeah, if you guys have more stuff to say about Lilo and Stitch, more insight, more questions, or just interesting things to mention, be sure to leave a comment and let us know. I'm always happy to read comments, even if we don't respond to all of them. I guess that's
Gravy.
that.